Hello, everybody. Welcome back or welcome to the Sound Mind Strategies podcast. This is your host, Evan, and sitting across from me is my lovely wife, Anina. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hello, everybody. Just a quick update for everybody. It's my 32nd week.
Yeah, 32. Week 32.
Week 32 of the little baby nugget.
Yeah.
So, just quick baby update. He is the size of a spaghetti squash. And about 4 pounds.
That's that's what I'm showing. In my dad book, all the organs are developing except the lungs. The baby is working on inhaling and exhaling the amniotic fluid. And the skin is finally opaque, which I think is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Yeah, we're actually doing a 3D ultrasound this weekend, so that's going to be awesome.
That is really fun. I know we've been pestering our doctor and where we're planning on going, and they said, well, it's not a medical necessity, so it's not something that we typically do. So Anina did a great job in doing some research and found a place that will do that. So for a small fee, we are going to get some 3D images. So
yes. Yeah. Really looking forward to seeing his little self.
We just want to say thank you and welcome to all the new listeners to the podcast. Anina, you want to give just a super quick synapse of kind of your background?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm also a life coach. So those are the background that I have. That I operate from right now.
Perfect. I kind of not life coach and not clinical, but I've been in the sport and performance world for a long time. I've been coaching athletes for 5-6 years now. Cycling is my main sport. I do have a background in strength and conditioning as well. So that is where I'm at. And then future goals moving towards sport and performance psychology. So really excited about that. So that's just for all the new people who just kind of wonder, who are these people? What kind of credentials? What gives them the credit to talk about it? Yeah. So really excited. And we have a great episode lined up for you guys with a really fun topic that we've kind of been asked about a few times. So we're really excited to share that with you guys. Do you ever feel like you just have way too many things going on, just way too many irons in the fire?
Yes. I felt that a lot in my life, where it just feels like I have way too many things going on. I can't devote my full attention to everything, and it just feels very overwhelming.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think the last year or so, that has kind of been my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's taken some real practice and strategic planning and thinking to not make it pure chaos, to get as much done and be productive as possible. Look at it. We're both working, school. We have our dog, Cooper. So for all the new listeners, he does get brought up in the podcast quite often, but the new people, Cooper, dog, we've got him in therapy training. So he's been doing that. So we're trying to mesh in his therapy training and therapy visits, as well as school and work and
new baby
coaching
on the way, and coaching.
Yeah, baby on the way. All kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
So life is maxed out.
Yeah.
How do we add more? Because we still want to have fun. I still train as an athlete. Anina, still tries to get her work in. How do we not go crazy? And how do we fit it in?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what we wanted to talk about today. And kind of start off with, what happens to us when we feel like we have too many irons in the fire? I know, for me, what happens is I start to feel burned out, overwhelmed, just kind of shut down, don't want to do anything. And it really leads to, it can lead to depression or just withdrawal, isolation, so many different things if it's not addressed early on.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I've seen it show up, for me. How have you seen it shown up for you?
Yeah. So the main things for me is depression, withdrawal, like not necessarily withdrawal from just one thing to say, oh, set my priorities right. Like it's a mass withdrawal from everything, right? So I shut you out, I shut work out, like I just don't focus on anything. But you still have those deadlines looming, and then you feel the pressure,
right?
And then depression and anxiety and everything, all these things set in. So for me, that's when I knew I really had to start dealing and battling with these issues. I had to get very focused on, okay, if I've lined out that all these things are important, how do I do them? Or how do I structure priorities? How do I prioritize them in itself, Yeah, so to me, they show up when I do them poorly. Is anxiety and depression are the big ones for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we know that when that happens, obviously, we're not getting anything done. We're not being the best versions of ourselves that we can be. We're kind of being, like we've talked before, human doings instead of human beings, because we're trying to do so many different things at once. And then, so what has like helped you, would you say, to like not have so many irons in the fire, so to speak, so you don't get into that depression and then anxiety, they don't start to swell up?
Yeah, it's taken a few things. I would say working with a coach has been the most helpful, like a mindful-based coach, I guess kind of in this life coach or mindset coaching, as well as just, as an athlete, I do train athletes, but I still like the accountability piece of always having a coach in my life. So that's been really helpful because I can, one, just be open, honest, and just say, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on in my life.
So kind of having that person you can bounce some feedback off of and just be very open with.
Yeah. So, just to share with them, and then they can see it in me, even if I'm not necessarily aware. They say, hey, you seem distracted. You seem down. You don't seem your typical self. Right. So a coach. Some of the other things outside of that are just developing a mindfulness practice. Whatever that looks like, meditation works well for me. And then just a gratitude journal. That is a big piece of my mindfulness practice. And then just to be grounded, right? Just to whatever I'm doing, do that. Be present there. And yeah, there's some other techniques that we can get into that, some more specific techniques, but I would say all those are kind of the foundation of what I do. And then that helps me to be very thoughtful and purposeful in how I structure my month, my weeks, and my days.
Yeah, that's...
What about you? I mean, I know you're busy and always on the go.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like first recognizing, just being in tune with my body and just noticing, like, am I starting to like just have more of a sore body, or like I hold a lot of stress, in my shoulders and in my neck. So I'm starting to just really take notice of, wow, I'm feeling really tense, a lot of tension in my body. That's really like my first cue. And then starting to notice, like, I'm just dreading things. I don't want to go do X, Y, and Z and things I enjoyed before. So those are kind of my cues to let me know something's going on. And then from there, it's like having to really just sit down and look at like setting priorities. Like, what is a priority in my life right now? Like, yes, I love to be a busybody and I like to always be on the go, but in a way that's really detrimental to me. Okay. It kind of leaves me really spread thin. So I can kind of like, I can go wide, but can't really go deep kind of thing.
Yeah. I actually heard this. It was actually just today through something completely random. It's completely different, but I was like, wow, that applies so much to kind of this topic. And they were talking about, oh man, I should have wrote it down. He's a researcher. He's a psychologist, and I forget some Ivy League school here, U.S. based, but I forget the researcher's name in school. Apologize for that. But one of his studies he did is he went around and interviewed people kind of like on their deathbed, right? And one of his big questions that he talked about was regret. And I do remember this stat was that over 70% of the people he interviewed said they regretted the things that they did not do way more than than regretting like doing something and it turning out bad or a mistake or whatever, right? So they regret the things not done rather than the things done.
Yeah.
So like,
could see that.
And how that applies, how I feel that applies here is when you have way too many irons in the fire, you're just busy, right? So we don't spend any time or quality time. I think we're spending a lot of time, but quality time and not really going deep into anything meaningful, and then not allowing, we're so busy with all these things that the have to do's, right?
Yeah.
That we can't like invest ourselves into learning something new or trying something new, taking that trip or betting on ourselves on maybe a new business or a new lifestyle choice that you feel is much better, whether it's like bringing on fitness or health in whatever realm, like I'll just put it on, or I'll get started on that. Oh, New Year's is right around the corner. I'll just start on 3 weeks and you don't. You just,
it's all this breadth but no depth, right? Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of think about too, okay, so what are some ways to like rectify it?
There's a lot of different things that you can do. I mean, we've kind of looked at this, and I think one of the best things that we can do is just sit down and be purposeful. Get a piece of paper, get a pen out, and literally write down all the things that you have going on in your day, right?
Yeah.
Or your month. I mean, if you need to schedule a year, schedule a year. If you have big trips, obviously you can't get super detailed the farther out you go, but if you have big trips, you have big things planned, like early February is going to have a pretty big thing in our calendar, right? We have baby coming. So we're going to have to restructure some things like leading right into that. And then obviously there's a big blank space after that because we have no idea what life is going to look like after that. We can get some generals, we can get some thoughts and some plans and some hopefuls.
Right.
But you have no idea, right? This is brand new to us. This is baby number one. So so there's some things like that, if you have a big family trip, going to Disneyland or whatever, taking that first European trip, whatever your life looks like, you got to pencil those things in. You got to write them down. And then we can go down to the monthly structure. What's the month look like? Do I have anything going on in the month, or do we have, doctor's appointments, haircuts, like all those things take up time for me. Like, so I just start keeping a journal of everything, right? Bring that down to the weekly.
Yeah. And I also think too, doing that helps reduce some of the stress.
Oh yeah,
help
absolutely.
us cope with those changes too.
Yeah. So again, bring that down to the weekly view. Kind of what's my Monday through Friday look like, or whatever Monday through Sunday, and then if you need to, the daily view. Now, when we go down that far, is there something that works better for you, or you kind of stop narrowing in, zooming in?
Yeah, I'd say for me, like a lot of times I feel like I'm kind of like a week by week kind of person of looking at things. I mean, I do see the importance of looking at the overall big picture. But I think I do need to look at the overall picture a little bit more, because a lot of times I do just kind of look at like week by week by week, and then all of a sudden like, oh shoot, I didn't see that coming because I didn't really look at the whole
big thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm still a work in progress, still learning all that.
Yeah. No.
But right now it is a lot of just week by week, and it's not always helpful.
Yeah, I like to do week by week as well, and then try to remember the big things, do my best on that. I do also like to go down to the daily, but the daily is, again, that's my work in progress. I found I love to write things down. I tend to do the best with that. If I write them down, I write it just a to-do list, still kind of broad. I've kind of found my magic number of to-do list items.
What is that?
Really, it's 3 to 6.
Okay.
So not very many. And if I get really, really ambitious and I write over 6 things down, I'm probably not going to do but maybe one. My success rate on completion gets much closer to 100% when it's in that, under 6, 3 to 5 is really magical. Like if I put 3, I know I'll crush it every day. But sometimes if I put 6, I might only get 1. So, it's better to not aim way too high. Now on a day I know I have just time to just crush things. Yeah, write them all down, and I know I'm just going to like do my best to tick them off.
Right.
But you have to be thoughtful in kind of what the day looks like.
You do, because I kind of hear when you have so many things, it's like easy to shut down and just like there's so many things like you just don't even get half of them done.
Yeah, don't even start.
Right. Yeah, so another part of kind of when you have too many irons in the fire, too many things going on, sometimes you just don't start.
That's the daily irons. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times if I have 3 to 4 and I know I can, I just start ticking them off, and I'm like, and I end up doing the 10 things because things I don't write down. I'll throw the extra load of laundry in or do the dishes or make a dinner. Those were things like are important and I could have written down, but I didn't, or spend time reading because I wanted to read, and those are things to me like that I write down. Like obviously you have the musts, like I have to send this email, or I have to go to work, or I have to whatever.
Yeah, and I know you've mentioned too before reading about like different ways to also like devote your time. So kind of like, okay, today I'm working on like writing my book, for instance. That's Mondays. Tuesdays I work on just something so you always have like a clear, instead of like 500 things going on in that one day, just narrowing it down a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. Like we all, I don't want to say all, but most people that we know and talk to and that would probably listen to this and respond, work full time or do something and then do stuff on the side, right? So I'm not saying, like, there are a few people that we know that are like very clear in what they do, but like a good friend of ours, she's writing a book, right? But she works full time. So when we're saying how do we schedule time to write that book while she works, while she still has to grocery shop, she still has to live everything else, but how does she actually be purposeful and get that done in a timely manner? So one of the things that we've suggested and worked with was like, how about we look at on Monday, instead of carving out an hour, just work on your book an hour every day. Well, that's great, but what do I do for that hour? I have to research, I have to write, I proofread. So like of that hour, let's research on Mondays, write on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, proofread on, there's all these things.
Break it down.
Yeah. That way I have a 1 hour clear that this is what I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And that seems like it's
a lot more purposeful because if not, if you take everything that goes into writing that book and you try to do all of it every day, but I have an hour set aside for book writing, it's like you're not going to get very much done. It's 10 minutes on each thing and you can't really dive that deep into it.
No, that's very true. That's very true. I think it's a helpful method when you need to like break a bigger task down to smaller tasks.
Yeah, I think that's been really helpful for me. A lot of times I'll do that with my athletes, with the athletes that I'm coaching. So I have a day that I, a couple of days a week, I review files and comment back. I have a couple of days where I plan and a day where I publish all the workouts. So it might look like I only do something once a week on the publishing side, but I keep things hidden and I try to publish everything on Monday morning. And I've played around with different things, and as long as communication is open and, everyone feels like they're being heard, I feel like that's,
it's a win when you can kind of approach it like that. I know even too for me in my planner, I've started working on highlighting stuff in different colors. So like this color means like this project, this color means that project, this color means self-care, just kind of, doing that. So then it's like alerts me when I see those colors.
Are you doing that kind of like on a daily, hourly kind of blocked out, or are you is that like a week basis thing?
It's more like
just anything.
Yeah, really just anything. But I'd say it's more on like hourly thing throughout my day.
Okay, but like if I have a massage, scheduled, and I plug that into my calendar, I know I'm going to put it on self-care color, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So just when it shows up, it's there.
Exactly. And then it's nice to kind of be able to look back and be like, whoa, like I've done this before. Like, whoa, I haven't really had much self-care this week because My self-care is
helpful.
purple.
And I see zero.
And I see zero self-care. I see zero
actually
purple.
Very helpful. That's really cool.
It's a nice color-coded way to kind of see it.
I've heard you talk about that, and I guess I've never really looked through your calendar to do that, because I don't do that. I just schedule everything, and it just like is all the one color. But that would be really helpful, especially on like a reflection period to go back through and look at the week previous. And
it is helpful. And then it's kind of like, oh, that's probably why I feel this way. Exactly. Exactly.
That's great.
It's kind of nice to have that like just realization sometimes. So yeah, that's another little tip or trick to use too.
What schedule or calendar do you use? I guess you're using colors. So are you using a bunch of, we know you've talked about colored pens before. That's helpful.
Yeah, it is.
But do you use just like an old fashioned pen and paper calendar, like a nice calendar that you carry with you, or you digital?
Yeah, I use, so really like at work, I use the old pen and paper calendar, and then have highlighters that I highlight the different colors with, the different activities with. And then I've just started looking at trying to do that on my phone as well, to do some colors on there. But I haven't quite transferred it that way, because I feel like I'm at work obviously more than I'm at home, and so it seems like I do a lot more of it at work. But I'm starting to look at how I can do it on my home phone too, or my cell phone.
Yeah, that's cool. I do all the big scheduled events. Same thing kind of on my phone. But I do, for my daily to-do list, I got to write it down. No cards and a pen. I just grab one of your mini colored pens here in the drawer, and I write it down, and that way I can cross it off. To me, there's so much satisfaction in crossing something off.
Oh my gosh, agreed.
I will tell you this. I've been doing this the last month or so on especially the recurring to-do list things, like I didn't do it, and it shows up on the next day's write it out thing.
Yeah.
I started putting dollar amounts to them just in my head. It literally means nothing. It could be Monopoly money, but like I had an email I needed to send today. I should have sent it, 5 days ago. Every day, send that email. So today I wrote it down. I knew when I got home from work, I was like, okay, I got to do it. That's $100,000 email.
Oh my.
So,
changes it, doesn't it?
It does. It's like, how many hours did I work for how many dollars? Like now, how long will that email take? 10 minutes at the most?
So true.
It's like, okay, send that email.
But it's a little sense of urgency. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, right.
It's got $100,000 back of Monopoly money or whatever it is.
But if your time is more valuable that's the most valuable commodity, right?
Right.
So that way, I don't know. To me, in my brain, it makes sense.
It works for you, and that's all that matters.
I was able to cross it off the list today.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Cool. And I think that is just part of the beauty of all this, of just, these are things that work for us, but, you may have other ideas, or as we're talking, like, ooh, I've never thought about this. Let me try this, So we're all so creative in our own ways, so it's kind of cool to see what works for some.
And that was a little extravagant on that side, but I still price out things like, if it's a $500 thing or a $50 thing or $10, I don't care what it is. Like, I put value, and just for me, money makes sense to value everything out, and just to like, get that done.
Yeah, that works.
If it's a simple thing, then just do it.
Exactly. And I think when we don't have so many irons in the fire, it doesn't feel like it's such a insurmountable task either.
Yeah,
to get some of these things done.
So to clear out some of the clutter of all the extra irons, that we can actually attend to the ones that we have in there, treat them properly. I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on this, doing something versus doing something well.
Yeah, that is, I know, I feel like that is something I have really had to work at getting better on. And that I am one of those, or have been in the past, one of those that like, oh man, I got 1,000 things done today. I feel amazing. But when I look back at it, it's like, but not one single thing did you do really to the best of your ability, or completed it all the way through. Like you kind of just half butted it, basically. Like you didn't do it like you could have done it. And so when I look back on it, it kind of feels a little unfulfilling or like a little empty in that, yeah, you were running like around all day and feel good because you got all this stuff done. But really, I have found that sometimes me not being able to go deeper into something is really an avoidance. There's like an avoidance. There's something like a fear or typically a lot of times for me, I have found it's like a fear of going deeper or a fear of like failing or just something like that. So it just shows up that I'm doing a lot, but not really going deep.
That's really fun. I mean, I hope you don't mind if we kind of go a little deeper on that, because we do come from two very separate camps in that world, where you said you found pride in yourself in the number of things you got done. Where I was completely the opposite. I was so happy to make sure it was perfect. If I got one thing done, but got it done perfectly,
got it done right, or whatever,
right or well or whatever word. Like obviously it wasn't perfect, but as close to perfection as possible, then that was success for me. I don't care about the number. So you had to, like, over the years of our marriage, we've begun to see the importance and the view of the other person. Like, yes, I do understand that there is value and importance in doing multiple things, being productive through my day.
Yes.
And you also said, okay, well, maybe if I don't have to do so many, but the things I do them with diligence, do them with some pride and some...
do them well.
Do them well.
Yeah, and I'd say that just even a whole nother topic, but just the people you surround yourself. Like I've heard there's a sum of the 5 people that you associate with. But it made me think about like, had you not had that quality,
which was passed down from my dad. Yeah,
right. So had you not had that quality, it'd probably been something I may never have noticed or never have seen as being a possibility. And you've showed me that, because in my mind, it's just like, well, dang, why are you being so lazy? You could have done these 500 things and you just did 2, and that's how I used to look at it. And it's like,
yeah. And I would say, Anina, would you like actually care about the things that you're doing? Like act like they mean something. Like,
right. Instead of just a check.
Yeah. Quit checking boxes and like do things with a little bit of purpose.
Yeah. And I have noticed like the simple little things of like, when I fold laundry, like just doing it with a little more, and this may sound so silly, but like slowing down and doing it with like a little bit more, like a little bit more care, basically, instead of just like folding stuff up and just throwing it into where it needs to go so I can move on to the next thing. It's like I kind of appreciate the process a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think about, how I like it when people take time for me. Like I think about how my grandma, when she used to like fold clothes, she would just do it really nice. And you'd go open your drawer and be like, oh, wow. Like there was so much care put into putting my 2 little socks together. It's just like so silly probably sounding, but it makes a difference.
I mean,
like
if anyone who has opened a drawer to see stuff jammed in there versus like things folded and put in there properly, because think about it, like, you pull it out. It's a nice shirt you want to wear. It's like, this is a mess. Like I'm gonna look like a 5-year-old.
Right. And it was like a way of me kind of showing respect to myself.
Yeah.
And
respect.
Then, and then also to you too, like showing respect. I mean, I'm not going to say I do it every time, but when I do take the time and like put everything nicely, it just feels good. So kind of slowing down and doing things well actually does feel good. It's just definitely a practice, a muscle that has to be worked, because I kind of thrive off of just that adrenaline rush of going.
Yeah. I know we're getting on a little bit of a tangent, but I still kind of think I want to hit on it is, do you find that understanding that about yourself, will you not take on a task because you maybe don't know how to do it so well? Like I could probably do it to get like a D or a C, but I don't know how to do it to an A level. So I just won't. I just put that off.
Yeah. I'll say sometimes that'll keep me from doing things because I don't want to have to go so deep into something. Because sometimes it just feels hard, basically, for lack of a better word. It just feels hard to have to do that. Because I want to have that, like, a lot of times.
Check it off the list.
Check it off the list. That adrenaline rush if I got it all done.
Yeah.
But I am getting definitely better at it. So,
well, I guess that is a full circle, a way that we can kind of connect it. Is it because there are so many irons in the fire to say, I don't have the time to devote to go deep or to learn this skill or task or to take my work from C level to A level work, because I have XYZ waiting on me. So if I didn't have those things waiting, would you then devote the time to learning that skill or task or perfecting that skill or task?
I think so. I think if I didn't feel like I was kind of thinking in the past, like all these things that I felt like I had to do, it would have felt like I had more space to go deeper in something.
No, I agree with that. Like, anytime there's anything hard or difficult. Now, granted, like this is coming from a person who was from the camp of it's okay to only do one thing if that one thing is done well. I would find a million other things to do if you know what I mean? Just where I was struggling in getting that A mark on it. Yeah. And granted, I'm grading myself. No one else is grading me.
Right. But it's just
that
your
perfectionist mentality.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, it is helpful to even kind of talk this out because it just kind of helps you see it from another angle and how it can affect us all so differently.
It is kind of interesting. We talk about this, like so many irons in the fire and all these things, like every day we're just like head down and just like plowing through the day. And all these things that just have to get done, right? Capital letters, HAV, have to get done. But whether this has been you or someone we all, I think, could think of someone. I was in this boat. We're going to be in this boat again with you, like major life changes. Granted, mine was injury. Yours is a baby. Like there are moments in time that we come where just things stop. Like, oh, that's not important anymore. Like,
right.
I thought I had so many things to do. And like, now that this happened, like it should make things more chaotic, but it really just, like when I was hit by that car, like everything stopped and everything slowed down and nothing else was important.
But that one,
except getting better.
Right. Yeah.
And then same thing, like busy. But like as soon as baby comes, like nothing else is as important. Like bang, new priority list.
Exactly. And you just kind of learn to adjust and just make the changes you have to make because it's like, this is taking precedent now. But yeah, I think just kind of maybe sometimes preparing yourself ahead of time for that can kind of help.
I think that's the best thing is getting, granted, like injury.
You can't always prepare, right?
Like, I think I'm going to get hit by a car
in
the near future. No.
Yeah.
But no, like yours, like baby or job change or things that you can see coming. Do a little bit of preemptive work. Like think about some things that you can knock out when things are going well, you're feeling good, you have the time and energy and space to do that because knowing, after baby or after fill in the blank, the time most likely will not be there. Get them done and out of the way now. Yeah. So I know for me, in that sometimes, I'm an avoider. Like if it's challenging, hard, difficult, this big surmounting thing coming, I avoid it. Like, like we're talking about baby, some of the things that are very difficult and looming and challenging for us is we're house hunting. We have daycare to think about. We have like leave from some work to think about. We have all these things. Like I know people kind of tease me like, oh, you think you're still going to be able to train regularly? It's like, maybe not. I hope so, but I think some life will still reflect some normalcy, but maybe not. I don't know.
Right.
This is all brand new.
I know. I think too, just being able to be a little more fluid and not so rigid in our thinking too, kind of have that like growth mindset versus the fixed. Like I know we've talked about that before too, but kind of this growth mindset, like
growth.
Yeah. There's growth happening up in that brain.
Well, yeah.
For new possibilities and new things.
Absolutely. I think just being able to have this conversation, to be able to step back. One of the words that I like to think about in my mindfulness or meditation practice is grounded.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is literally be grounded. Where are your feet? Be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever you're doing, if you're exercising, do that fully. Don't let your mind wander off and ruminate on other tasks. They'll be there. Or if you need to do that task, go do that and be with that task and accomplish it. Like that email, that $100,000 email. I set everything aside, and there's a bunch of things pulling for my attention. I wanted to do. It's just like, yeah, they'll be there. Just do this.
Exactly.
Earn that reward. Check that box, and then go be with those things. Be grounded. Be where you are. Be where your feet are. Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's not fun. Like there's things that we do, even if it's like not more than a 5-minute thing. If it's if work is a challenge, if you have that challenging boss, coworker, whatever, be where your feet are. Be grounded there.
Yeah. And I think too, that's a good point. And just to remind ourselves too, that it's a process, like we've mentioned before. And sometimes it can start as just small as when you brush your teeth, you're fully aware, fully present.
It's a fun practice, actually.
Yeah, it actually is. I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'm feeling all the little bristles on my teeth. And
one of the big areas that whole idea is taught is around eating, right? Because for eating with stress, or if we're bringing stress into our food, we eat much faster, or we eat on our feet, just moving around, trying to do other things, to just take that time and be there and connect with the food and the nourishment that we're bringing into our body. It really changes the way we think about it. Digestion is much better. You chew more times, which
helps keep you fuller and just
helps you keep you full. Number one step of digestion is in the mouth. So the more to actually chew and break the food down.
Yeah, it does make a difference.
So that's kind of a little tangent on irons in the fire, right. But it just shows like there's so many things. Like if you can just like be diligent about the things that matter to you, there is payoff. It's not just slowing down. It's not just like thinning out your day, but it kind of is. It's thinning out, weeding out the junk and the garbage, or being able to label things as wheat and chaff. What's important, what's garbage.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think even like having like a visual for yourself can be helpful. Like visualizing yourself feeling like less irons in the fire, whatever it looks like. Like I know before we decided on this topic, I was like, so too many irons in the fire. Remember, I was like, okay, so like blacksmiths, like if they have too many like irons, kind of you can't
actual irons
in an actual fire. Like you can't actually attend like 10 of them at once.
Yeah.
Because one's gonna get cold over there, and then one just like I don't know. For some reason, that just really helped me think about like what does that really mean?
Or where did that phrase come from?
Exactly, and it just kind of helped paint a nice visual for me.
You think about when you go back, and we've all seen those medieval times kind of movies, the blacksmith pull the iron out and they're banging on it, and they're making swords or tools generally. He has to attend to that. And there's an actual process that goes into that, making it, tempering that steel and making it, people will obviously probably know much more about it than me, but, making it functional, making it not brittle, there's, it needs to go in the fire and get hit and folded over and in water and all these times. If you do it wrong, you jeopardize the structure of the material. So if he leaves him in the fire too long, he's not attending to him, or he's frantic and he
trying to do 10 of them at once or something. Like you can't possibly.
Because think about it, that's his livelihood. To do it well, it's to make tools or to make swords well, not to make a million of them.
Right.
Because he has to put his name on it, his initials on it, and bring work in.
Exactly.
You can bring that, take that to anything that you do. Like if you're a coach, if you're a clinical person, if you're an athlete, if you're whatever a student, whatever you are, you're putting your name on your work.
Right.
And people will know to come to you or to not come to you because you do things or you do things well.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a nice kind of like reminder, a nice visual to have. I'm so visual. So it helped to like think about what does that really look like? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it like the rhythmic, like him pounding on the, on the anvil and stuff like that. It's like, it's rhythm. He's not like frantically hitting it. It's like each pound, is purposeful.
There's a purpose. Exactly.
So be grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Be attend to actually what you set out to do for the day and do it with intention.
Yeah, exactly. And just be gentle on yourself that it's going to take some time because I'm living proof it can happen.
Oh, well, we all are. And we're obviously not where we want to be, but we're being able to take time and see areas of improvement and work towards that. So
Exactly. Well, man, that's all I had on that topic. Did you have anything else to add, Ev?
I think that is it. I think that was an excellent podcast. No, that was good. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, kind of what we set out to cover. We did.
Yeah. So kind of just a little bit of housekeeping stuff. Is we are really, really excited to be having our first guest.
Yes.
In January. We're not going to release who or exactly when, but we are working on that. So that will be in January. We've already set things up with this person and very excited to release that conversation to you guys. And that's something that we're going to be working on and rolling out more and more in the future is obviously guests. We're thinking probably in the once a month or maybe two a month, depending on the guests that we can get lined up. So we want to bring quality and not quantity, do it well and not just do it. So
exactly.
Thank you all for tuning in and sharing your time with us. It means so much. Share this episode. Like we said last week, go ahead and snag a phone, check to see if they're subscribed. And if not, go ahead and give them a treat of subscribing to the Sound Mind Strategies podcast.
That's right. A free treat. And also keep those Q&A questions coming because I think we're going to try to do some of those next week or the following week.
Yeah. Those were a lot of fun. So please hit us up again. We would love to continue this conversation about how you tackle too many irons in the fire over on our Facebook group, the Sound Mind Strategies Tribe. So
yes,
we look forward to seeing you guys there, and we will see you in the next one.
Right. Have a great week, everybody.
Peace.